Alright guys, well I'm just taking a quick water break because it's actually really warm today, so taking plenty of water on board. Just checking through my notes, so we've got, hold on, focus, there we go. So this is the overall shape that we're using. So we've got a bit of a triangle. The reason we're coming out so wide is because they want to have an easy run down to where their patio areas for their barbecue. And then the actual layout for the steps here, so we've got 3 treads and 1 riser. There's a nice shallow run that'll take them up to, so as we can see here, we've got 1 metre out from the front of the wall and 1.5 metres back. These are just rough guesstimates, but it's always good to sort of sit back and have a look and see how the overall thing actually looks in the garden. There's lots of big roots in the bottom there, so that's why it's taken so long to get the first part started. But I'm going to have to employ my old mate Pythagoras shortly, because we're extending the wall, or extending the path steps outside the wall. I'm not going to know if this is square unless I actually do Pythagoras and actually try and figure out a triangle here to actually measure exactly what I need. So what I'm going to do, so normally I use a 3-4-5 triangle, but what I've done, you can just about see in there, I'll get out of it. So here, I'm just halving the 3-4-5, so I've got 1.5, 2, 2.5. So I'll measure that back from the back edge of the first sleeper, which will be roughly there. Measure along and actually mark on the sleeper at 2 metres, and then the joining point there should be 2.5 metres. Once I've got that matched up, then I know that is perpendicular to the line of where the wall is. Then I'll know that when I build the rest of the steps up, as I go up here, they'll actually line up properly. I'm actually going to be stepping the sleepers in. The first 2 are actually going to be the same size at 2.4 metres. So I've gone through just to work out what the rough sizes will be, just to step them down so that when we get back up to the top, they'll actually be the right size. So the first 2 will be the same size, and then they'll step in at 10 centimetres for each one as we go up. And that's how it should look in the end. I don't know yet whether or not I actually need to put edging sleepers to hold back soil, but I'll know once I've set the line in, I'll know where the height of the steps actually is. It's always a bit difficult where you've got such undulation and changes in shape, what you're going to need to do. So when I get close to that and I've actually got some of it built, I'll know a bit better, and I can carry on the video then and show you. Right, I'll carry on, and I'll see you in a bit. Nothing to do with the garden, just good tune. Okay, so I'm starting to cut the sleepers now to the right sizes. What you want to do is make sure you actually mark all the way around. You can cut it with chainsaw if you don't want a tidy finish, but one of these circular saws is a much better option because you get a much tidier finish. Just to show you the edge of the first one I did. As you can see, it's a much tidier finish for what we're looking for. Down in the ground at the bottom there, it's not so much of an issue, but as the steps come up they want to be tidy. So you mark it all the way around and then cut through. You'll cut through one side. The blade isn't enough to go through the whole depth, so you have to do one side and then turn it over and do the other side. The only thing to make sure is that when you set your blade up, because they can actually be angled, what you want to make sure is that your blade is actually at 90 degrees. You can do a test cut on a bit of wood that you're not going to use, and then adjust it so it's correct for the main cuts. Otherwise what you end up with is a cut that kind of goes that way and then goes that way, and then when you try and cut it to line up it looks bloody awful. So just make sure you've got the blade the right angle. Oh, and one other thing I've just got to show you there, fire pit. I had this made specially, fire pit with dragons. A bit expensive, but very cool. There you go. Right, see you in a bit. Okay, so another cut done. Tidy up your burrs with a good quality chisel. It's very sharp. You can either do this as you go along, or you can do it at the end once everything's built. It can be easy to just do it as you go because then you don't have one huge job which takes ages at the end. But that just keeps it tidy so that little hands can't get caught on any bits. But you can get some coarse grade glass paper or sandpaper, grade 30 or 40, and just take off the corners at the end just to leave them that little bit smoother. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, so next up is screw the sleepers together. This is where having two people really helps. I've done this loads of times, so I know how to do this on my own. Point being is, it's the screws that are important. Now these are index timber screws. You can't really see that because of the light, there we go. But they're specially made for doing sleepers. So they've got the screw thread at the end, but they're smooth along the rest of the length, and that makes it much easier for it to actually travel through the rest of the sleeper. If you've got thread along the whole length, it's a nightmare to do, but these are brilliant. These are 60p each, so you don't want to waste too many of those. One thing to bear in mind is when you buy these, this is a box of 50, so it's £30, is the little heads that come with them that fit. There are two different varieties. That one came with a kit that I bought with loads of different heads on it, but then there's this one that actually came with a previous box. Now as it happens, this box didn't come with any at all, so fortunately I had those. Don't bother trying to do this with a battery powered drill. You're going to run out of battery very quickly, because the work rate for the drill is very high. So I've got my Bosch 24 volt Bosch. This does everything, it's brilliant, and the only reason I got this one is because my Hilti got nicked. So I'll get this together. So I'm using 4 screws to bolt each of the treads together, and then 4 for the riser to bolt down into the treads, and I'll show you again in a minute once I've got these 4 bolted together. Alright, back in a bit. Hi guys, welcome back. Right, hold on, there we go, that's better. Right, so a couple of tips for this part. When you're knocking the timber into place and getting everything lined up, always use a rubber mallet. Don't use a normal hammer, damages the timber too much and it looks terrible when it's finished. And what was the other thing? Oh yes, recessing the screws. So in the surface, when you actually put the screws in, make sure they're recessed, especially when you're doing the joins down here and it lines them up. You want to recess them so that these can go flush up against them. Now obviously timber's a natural product, so you're going to get slight variations in height. There's going to be little gaps, but that's part of the charm. And if we see here, see the lines quite regular. No, I haven't put a marker up there. It's actually supposed to be going to about there. So you can see it kind of lines up-ish. But what I'll do is I'll post this as is now with these parts, and then I will do a separate video at the end when most of it's complete, or when it's actually finished, so you haven't got too much in each section. So I'll post this one up now, and I'll see you later.